Gardasil shots, time and time again, killing people in the trials, killing people currently, sterilizing them, causing autoimmune disorders, giving them HPV. Now they're saying give it to boys. The schools lie and say it's the law. Other countries have banned it. You can say what you want about India and Japan and places like Brazil, but they're saying don't give kids younger than 18 months vaccines. They're saying don't eat GMO. They're saying we're banning Gardasil because they can see the effects of it. Now, before we go any further here today, let me just give you the toll-free number. It's 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. We can discuss the Gardasil story that hurts my heart every time I see those reports every few weeks. But it's bigger than just a little girl dying hours after she took it. It's that they just keep us in perpetual ignorance of why did this happen? Oh, gee, we don't know. Was it the vaccine? When we know it's the vaccine. And everyone knows people that took a vaccine and died or took a vaccine and went into a coma. And then the media goes, there are no side effects of vaccines, safe and effective. Until you read the insert, and it says can give you narcolepsy, epilepsy, neurological disorders, autoimmune disorders, death, cancer. Of the flu shot, polio vaccine, Gardasil, I don't care which one it is. Read the insert that comes with the drug. Go online, type in the insert. You can read the thing. You don't have to believe me that drinking 1 part per million of hydrofluorosilicic acid, a.k.a. fluoride, will massively reduce your IQ. A little over 10 points per decade. It'll give you dental fluorosis and fracturing of bones and rheumatoid arthritis and a 7-fold increase in bone cancer in boys and men. Kidney cancer. I mean, I try not to blow up on air. But we're being killed by the globalists who have all literally written hundreds of books, like Eco-Science by the White House science czar, admitting they're jacking the food and the water in social engineering. People go, man, you're crazy. Yeah, I know, because if you admit I'm telling the truth, then you've got to do something about it. I'm going to say this again. My grandmother, and that's it, Buckley, she said she'd do it. We're going over there and interviewing her about her polio experience because she's 89. She's still about 97% there. She's obviously not as sharp as she was when she was, 60 years old. But she's there. She's got a great memory. And I wanted to talk about that because she's been telling my mom that since, my mother was 5 years old. This is the reality. And then I can pull up news articles out of India and Pakistan where they suspend the polio shot because in 1 month, 60+ thousand kids got paralyzed from it. And they said, we don't call it polio. They got paralysis from it. They're not eradicating polio. They're giving people polio. And this is the same global government caught doing all the secret medical experimentation over and over and over again. They're evil. It's bigger than Obama. It's bigger than the Republicans. It's bigger than the British government. It's bigger than the French government. It's bigger than the Russian government. It's the technocracy. So we can talk about that. 800-259-9231. And I see callers calling in about Robin Williams. Yeah, it's a wild card. Whatever you want to call in about, you're welcome to call in about it. You can talk about the Ferguson situation. You can talk about any of it. Now, let me spend a few minutes here reaching out to the listeners in a moment of stillness here, so it's not all just lost in translation or lost in my banter. that when I tell you about how big Infowars.com is, how big this radio show is, it is not to have a big ego. It is to let you know that we are engaged in a major assault of the globalists and their eugenics program. We are here to speak directly to the White House operatives and the Ford Foundation and CIA and NSA and Department of Defense and corporate IBM, Microsoft, Google, Apple operatives who are let in on the technocracy, who are let in on the master plan. They understand they're not going to be given entree into the next level of this. They are operating out of fear, out of greed, out of mercenary instincts. And we've got to get the narrative out there that we are breaking away from their whole fake debate and communicating directly with them on a true narrative of, are you really evil? Do you really want to go along with this? And your whole fake, progressive, liberal, touchy-feely, simpering NPR voice that you know is a cover for the savage dehumanization and social engineering that you're part of. And then for the listeners out there, you need to become your own newsletter, your own website, your own YouTube channel, your own local radio show, your own access show, or to your own students or your college students or your workers or your bosses. We all need to be communicating with each other about these issues and about the fact that you can say the cop down the street's a nice guy or a nice lady, but the people running the system are bad. And so we can't let the system get more centralized control because it only uses that to dominate and dumb down society. And then secondarily, it is integral to understand Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com is under attack. And the power structure is doing everything it can to ensure that we are blocked, we are demonized, we are attacked on every front. They're trying to assassinate my character, my name, my whole operation, unsuccessfully, I might add, and that's what's scary. And I'll explain in a moment. Because we are over the target. When you fly over the target, the anti-aircraft guns are aimed on you. You fly into the flak to drop your bombs because that's where the war is. And I never imagined as a child, or even as an activist when I was 20 years old, trying to get on radio and TV. I didn't want to get on radio and TV to be somebody. I didn't want to get on radio and TV to be a narcissist. I wanted to get on radio and TV because I knew they were taking farmers' land outside Austin to build on it under the guise of environmentalism, and I took it personal. I knew they were giving fines to old ladies and people that they couldn't fix the grass in their backyard to take their houses. I took it personal. Just like if I saw somebody, 3 or 4 guys beating up some little guy in a parking lot, I'm going to go over and tell them, pick on somebody your own size. And not because I'm looking for trouble, but because my instinct makes me go up to them. It's just how I am. And the fact that we are hurting the enemy so bad and they're attacking us every day in establishment organs with talking points, and the fact that it's getting worse and that it's ineffective. If they destroyed me in my name or made up some scandal and really damaged me, then they wouldn't kill me or set me up or imprison me. But the fact that everything they do bounces off of InfoWars, we are now crossing that event horizon that even though I'm real and act goofy sometimes and they can spin that against me, the public has spun it back against them, and it's made InfoWars and yours truly even bigger. And it's backfired. It's boomeranged. And I can see the tea leaves, ladies and gentlemen, politically, that if we continue to exponentially grow like this in our reach and our paradigm-shifting understanding, they will come after me. And I'm not scared of that. I don't look forward to it, but it's something that has to be done. But I want everyone to understand something. That is the great victory of life, is knowing the road you're going down and going down that road, because in the end, setting a good example, being strong, not backing down, will be the example to others that will defeat the New World Order and that will protect the innocents that are being attacked by them on every front. Because that's their real target, is the innocents. That's what evil wants to destroy, is children and the innocent, beautiful mind. And that's the job of men. Being a man doesn't mean you have huge muscles or that you can do 500 push-ups, though that has historically been a mark of a man who's capable and who's not lazy. That's important, but not as important as the moral courage to do what is demanded of you genetically and in your family line and your family name, to not be a creature of your age, of decadence and evil, and to stand against the flood of tyranny. And it is the fire that tests the metal that in the end will purify and will sanctify. Because faith without works is dead. And so many men out there that pose and pretend that they're challenging evil and that work in the system, they know deep down they have betrayed their ancestors. They have betrayed everything that is important. And so people out there need to decide which side they're on. Because deep down, everyone who still has a soul, everyone who has a conscience, everyone who still has at least, God's hand on them a little bit, knows that great evil is rising and that you have the answers to what needs to be done. You don't need me to tell you what to do. You know what you can do in your area. None of us have to save the world by ourselves, but by starting on the path of challenging evil and challenging corruption, we can find the levers that will move the world together with our good intentions. And then, by stepping forward, God, the creator of the universe, as Martin Luther King said, the universe bends towards justice, will give us the providence, the manifest destiny, to turn the tide. But we will be judged first. But the tide will be turned early in the judgment, and the judgment will not be as deep as it would be, and it will not be continual, that you see so many nations completely collapse into absolute squalor and wickedness. The whole world is either going to collapse into a black hole of pure rapine, or we're going to reverse this. But again, even if you think you don't have any power, even if you've been taught that you're a nothing, it is the animating contest of liberty. It is the spiritual decision to say, I stand against the New World Order. I stand against those that love death. I stand against those that serve Satan. I stand against those that would hurt the innocents. It is that decision and simply throwing your hands up and saying, God, the universe, you don't have to believe in God, folks. God believes in you. Say, God, show me. Help me be better. I repent. Help me be good. Help me be strong. Help me be a warrior. Direct me to what I need to do. And the doors will open. And the great adventure will begin, and your free will be activated. And then all those areas, all your gifts that God gave you, all the memories, all the instincts, all the ancestral programming that God gave you, the incredible experience of touching your ancestors. Reality is so much more complex than people can even imagine. Yes, we live after death. And yes, we experience the experiences of our ancestors. They live on through us. It is incredible. It is so multi-layered and amazing. And the New World Order knows this and is trying to block it. I'm going to go to break and come back with your calls, Josh, Mary, John, Mitchell, Jonathan, and others. But we need to realize how epic and big things are and pull ourselves back from the globalists trying to make us feel small. By realizing how small they are, That is the beginning of their downfall. That's why they have the red carpets in Air Force One and the giant studios, and all of it is to project the invincibility deception like the Wizard of Oz. Briefly, also, please support this operation by spreading the word about Infowars.com, the radio show, our AM and FM affiliates. Buy the great products at InfoWarsStore.com. We've never had a special this big. We're leaving all the other specials, because I love specials, that are already in place, with a 10% blanket special on everything, even on products discounted as much as 37%, an additional 10%. So on a bunch of products, I'm actually losing money to be super competitive and to get people into the store to support the overall operation. Pro Second Amendment T-shirts, Molon Labe, InfoWars Life X2, Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, Lung Cleanse, Silver Bullet, promo code 1010 for 10% off. Just 10 at checkout, 10% off already, all the other discounts. The minute we realize we're in the universe and we're part of something so big and so ancient, and that humanity is on the cusp of such incredible things, then we'll see what jokes mainstream media is and all their attempts to play games. They're cheating to maintain control instead of empowering humanity so we can ascend together. They are having us descend so they can reign in hell instead of serve in heaven. It's better to burn out than fade away as they burn all of society out. I want to go, since I mentioned Robin Williams, who I'm very sad is dead by what looks like a suicide, to John. We'll go to Josh, Mary, Mitchell, Jonathan, and others. Total open phones in the next hour. You're on the air, John. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex.
Hey.
I was reading about Robin Williams, and he's just another one in a long line of actors that came to a bed in Hollywood. I mean, Hollywood's an immoral place, and it chews up actors left and right, spits them out. We could sit here all day and talk about all the actors that came to a bed in Hollywood.
Yeah, well, what happens is, they can make $5 million a movie. They have so many managers and people that if they're out of work a while, the managers and people chew up all their funds, and then they, again, live in these big palaces. And, yes, it's not fulfilling. And we've got everybody chasing Hollywood, believing it's going to fulfill you, and it's not going to fulfill you. Go ahead.
And there's a few actors like Jimmy Cagney and Jimmy Stewart and Ernest Borgnine, a few of them that came out all right, that led happy lives, but most of them come to a sad end.
Yeah, Ernest Borgnine, who died this year, he was a listener, but I never got him on the show. It's like laziness. Joe Rogan's about to be in town next week, and I know I can get him in studio. I just need to call him. And it's the same thing with Borgnine. I just never tried to get him on. But people want to hear from those folks, so I should do that. But, I mean, I like Robin Williams. But, his politics, though, were not very pro-liberty. It was kind of a bunch of leftist stuff. But still, he was, a good actor, kind of typecast. But everybody's freaking out about his death. What about the death of all these people taking Gardasil? Again, 1,000 Palestinians are dead. Okay, I don't like it. I think it's terrible. I think it's terrible what Hamas is doing as well. But I don't hate Israel. And I don't hate the Palestinians. But you get 300,000 people killed by IS and Al-Qaeda, and nobody wants to talk about it. Hey, Arabs, stop killing the Arab Christians. Shut up, you Israel lover. It's an immoral cop-out so they can run around with Al-Qaeda chopping everybody's heads off and dragging people behind motorbikes. And I say, please stop doing it to non-radical Muslims and Christians. And they go, shut up, Jew. And so, that's my issue is I'm not Jewish. But if they want to say I am, okay, I'm Jewish. Because it just becomes a moral cop-out by all these anti-Israel people. They don't have to know any facts or know anything about quantum mechanics or know anything about history. They just run around screaming, I hate Jews all day. And it's the same thing for the folks that are 100% pro-Israel. Everyone else is bad, but if you're pro-Israel. When Israel's got all its own corruption and problems. I mean, I see this meme on Infowars.com, and I appreciate your call. I'm going to go to break and come back with more people. NSA doc reveals ISIS leader is U.S., British, and Israeli intelligence asset. New Snowden documents, July 19th. I looked it up this morning. We have no fewer than 7 articles since July 19th about this. And I see this meme on YouTube and InfoWars saying, Alex Jones won't talk about how ISIS is connected to Israel. I've probably talked about it 50 times. And I'm not defending myself. I'm just saying what pathetic morons you are. Former FDA official warns of spooky scenarios if Ebola hits the U.S. Special report, back-to-school mind control exposed. Kill switch smartphone bill passes in California. That's big. I'm going to break that down. Video, cop aims gun at local officials as Ferguson resembles war zone. Rancher says wild hogs are eating remains of illegal aliens. Ukraine accuses Russia of attempting false flag. Ferguson is a perfect example of how quickly the streets of America can descend into chaos. That's some of the articles up on Infowars.com. Let's go to your phone calls. Josh in Missouri talking about the riots, day 3 of those. Hopefully they're simmering down now after the mother of the young black man who was killed calls for peace, which is a classy thing for her to do. Josh, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Alex. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, brother. Thanks for calling.
I just wanted to let you know that on Craigslist, they were sending out ads to tell people to come help them loot on Sunday night. And then...
is that mainstream news, or did you find that yourself? Because I want to do an article on that.
No, that's not mainstream news yet. My dad, we're from around North County, right near Ferguson. And he, we all work around here, and he was out with the customer, and they were telling him, look on Craigslist. And we went, and sure enough, it was there.
All right, do me a favor. Will you send show tips at Infowars.com, those links for Ferguson looting since you had them? I want to get one of our writers to do a story on that. That is very interesting to show that it was premeditated. We have a clip of a guy up on Infowars.com saying, this is how we protest, we loot. And it's just an excuse for the criminal element to run around and act like a bunch of idiots. And again, as I've said, the power structure is going to use looting in this country with the welfare class as a pretext to bring total control in. What else did you observe?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Josh.
And I just want to let you know it should not be about race, because we are the human race, and that's, the main topic we should be talking about. And you exposed that so well, Alex, and I amend you, and we should we should be applauding what the mother of the son that was killed had come out and said, and we also should come out and say, I'm mad as hell, and we're not going to take this no more, because the globalists are running it all. Like you're, great, broadcast you're having today, because you're exposing exactly what's going on. I mean, from H.G. Wells to Edward Bernays to it's all. It's been controlled for so long.
And they think the public's so stupid, and they've successfully dumbed people down so that we fit into this paradigm where they're the elitist, the Morlocks, and we're the Eloi. And I'm saying we need a revolt of the Eloi intellectually, because freedom is sexy. We need to sell that idea to everyone instead of the tyranny they're selling us as utopia. Thank you, Josh. Great points. Listening on the free iPhone app. Let's talk to Mary in New Jersey. You're on the air.
Hi, Alex. I wanted to talk about 2 things. The young man that was killed in Missouri, and also I wanted to mention quickly something about Dr. Oz. So about a month and a half ago, Dr. Oz was called in front of the Senate, and they scolded him like a little kid, because he has exposed on his show, fire retardant, how it doesn't really stop fires. It really just is toxic.
Doctor, stay there. I want to come back to you after the break. I don't want to cut you short. I don't watch a lot of mainline TV, but I see the boil downs of it on YouTube. And Dr. Oz has covered vaccines hurting people. He's covered GMO being bad and some other stuff. They've come after him. And so I've been told by folks that know him and have been interviewed by him, he's now backed off. Homeland Security broke the law. Dreamers plan to occupy Ted Cruz's office. Obama said that Hillary's Syria criticism is horse crap. And I'm altering the word from an FCC violation. He said horse. Bravo Sierra, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, that whole thing with her saying she liked George Bush and he was better than Obama, and Obama saying he's mad at her, and MSNBC talking about it with Axelrod interviewing him, his former mentor. It's all distancing herself from the administration she runs with Bill. Total smoke and mirrors. Look, hotels are introducing robot butlers. Again, the replacement of humanity is moving ahead at full steam ahead. That's some of the news up on drudgereport.com. A lot of it's also up on Infowars.com. You know, we redesigned Infowars.com a few months ago, and even more modern versions coming in a few months. But in the interim, we went to a new design where the whole bottom half has breaking news in a bigger and better format and a lot of new features. So be sure and check out not just the top of Infowars.com. Be sure and scroll down into all of the other news that is there on the site, and all the different apps and free podcasts and political cartoons and so much more that is online at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. And please don't forget, the globalists are working around the clock to try to block us and censor us and keep us off military bases and government computers and library computers and Amtrak wireless networks, to keep you from this information for a reason. We're going to talk about that at the bottom of the hour. Kill switch smartphone bill passes in California. And that dovetails with the rise of the robots and an episode in 1998 of Sworn to Secrecy, the Panama invasion, that we finally found the clip of. I'll tie it all together at the bottom of the hour. Let's go to Mary in New Jersey. She held over from the last segment. She was bringing up Dr. Oz in Congress. I heard he got chewed out in testimony, but I didn't see it. He did cover some GMO vaccine dangers, and I was told by insiders that were guests and also someone that works with him that they did get threatened and got heat on him, just like Ventura's show did, and he basically sings a more pro-establishment tune. But see, the fact that he's backed off now under pressure, I at least know secretly he cares about people. What really makes me sick is people that hate those of us that are trying to warn folks about GMO and fluoride and the rest of it, and then know that they're lying to people, and then hate us and choose to go with the establishment, and then don't give their kids GMO and don't drink fluoride water. I had the state attorney on for Maryland about 8 years ago. It was all over CNN, you name it. Remember when they had thousands of kids lined up with police dogs barking and riot police in a predominantly black area was Baltimore, Maryland, not Philadelphia. It was Baltimore, Maryland. And the story got real big, and parents were going to protest, so SWAT teams came and riot cops and dogs barking, and they were on the news saying, "It's the law, you'll be arrested, give them the shot." And I had him on, and I said, you know, you're tricking people. There's a waiver, and that's not even for a law, and you're kicking them out of school, then letting truancy kick in, and that's how you arrest them. But truancy under Maryland law isn't applicable because it's the school that kicks them out for a policy, not a law, so you really can't trigger the criminal charges. And he said, man, you ought to be a lawyer. He said, man, you ought to be a lawyer. You're right. He goes, we even have the waiver forms up there on the judge's desk in case somebody figures it out and demands one, but they never do. He was a black guy. Years ago, I talked about it. We found the clip again and played it. It's just stunning. One of those things where, and I go, let me ask you a question. Do you vaccinate your kids? He goes, no, I sure don't. Started laughing. I went, you just fool people, don't you? And he said, I just do my job. He doesn't give his kids vaccines. Think about that. Let that sink in. They get up there, regardless of what you think about the vaccines, and they fool everybody and tell you it's the law. There is no law. That's called an organized criminal conspiracy or racketeering. Mary, tell me about the Dr. Oz grilling that you mentioned in Congress. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, I do know him. I worked with him since '94.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was mentioning, I was mentioning folks that I knew that knew him. I didn't know you knew him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know him, and it's very unfair. I taped the show. He was exposing things like the chicken being sent off to China for just like you do. And he was shocked at finding some of these things. And he does recommend natural products. He gets other doctors on there. He's one of the best cardiothoracic surgeons in the world. He's not an internist, but he's interested in this stuff himself. So he gets people on there that do study. So one of the things the FDA and some big company were saying that, he recommended green coffee beans from the Andes. Like they're not supposed to do that. And also that they were giving false hope to people losing weight. Well, he never says not to exercise, but there were some studies where people lost a certain amount of weight over over a period of time. Even
I'm glad you mentioned this. Listen, everybody knows that coffee is a stimulant. Everybody knows that stimulants are what you give people to suppress appetite. And again, they don't like a respected medical doctor who has respected people on. Big Pharma is scared of him, and they know he's a good guy. I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to get him in more trouble, but the system already knows that Dr. Oz knows about the New World Order. Dr. Oz knows about Gardasil. Dr. Oz has tried to get stuff on air and been shot down by network lawyers, so they want to destroy him. And Kevin Trudeau was a charlatan in many respects. I didn't want him to be shot down because some of the books he wrote about herbs and stuff were accurate, in my view. And if they could shoot him down, they could then destroy Dr. Oz or anybody else. So, yeah, now they're going to go after people like Dr. Oz because he dares to be one of the few good things on mainstream media. And I'm glad you raised that point. So we should try to stand beside him. But, now they just intend for him to shut up. This is his warning. And if he doesn't shut up, they'll come after him. But what would happen if everybody started telling the truth? They couldn't get rid of every CBS reporter. They couldn't get rid of Dr. Oz. They couldn't get rid of Matt Drudge. They couldn't get rid of WorldNet Daily. They couldn't get rid of InfoWars. They couldn't get rid of... See, that's why we've all got to start our own media, and that's why we've got to support media that tries to tell the truth and breaks news. God bless you. I appreciate your call. Yeah, over the years, I've talked to a lot of people that, Dr. Oz, says he likes your show. Oh, Dr. Oz knows about a lot more. He's trying to get this on the air. So I've had a lot of guests on the show that have worked with Dr. Oz, been on his show, or done other things behind the scenes with him. And so I've always been told he's a good guy, and that's been evidenced. Let's go to Jonathan in Missouri. You're on the air. Thanks for holding. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jonathan. You're on the air from Missouri. You want to talk about the riots? Go ahead. Okay, we'll move on, see if he comes back. Mitchell in Oregon, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, Alex.
Yes, sir.
Salute from us up here in Oregon. Look at you as a colonel, exposing so much, and we're so thankful for your courage and your ability to spread the word. That's a great thing. I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of the 22-degree halo?
No, I haven't.
Well, that's a term. I haven't heard of it until recently either. It came from one of our local meteorologists, and it's pretty interesting. He said that they call it the 22-degree halo now when you can see the chemical halo around the sun. And they don't...
Oh, I have heard of a chemical halo because of all the barium salts, aluminum dioxide, and other things being sprayed that's being added to jet fuel. Even the pilots don't know. Yes, I mean, I was aware of the rainbow halo of chemicals that can also be formed by smog. So, yes, I was aware of chemical halos. I was not aware of 22-degree halos.
Well, it's not, he mentions it like...
No. I mean, we Googled it. It is a meteorology term. You're correct.
Well, he never starts it off with how they're much more evident after we have all these clouds shaped like serpents that come out of the ends of these airplanes. I'm old school. I remember looking up at the sky and seeing stagecoaches and bow and arrows and little things in the sky. Now all we see are these, like I say, serpent-shaped clouds that exit the tail ends of planes. And they're calling it natural.
No, I know. I mean, condensation trails never lasted more than a few minutes until the mid-1990s. And it turns out there's a guy that got a Nobel Prize in 1992, I forget the scientist's name, for having it added to the jet fuel. The patents show that no one would know what was going on. It's done at the industrial level with the jet fuel. That's why you'll see a plane right by another plane not spraying it, and then it aerosolizes out of the jet turbines. People can look up those patents.
Everything is all about money in St. Louis, right? So when you stop their flow of income, when you stop their whole everything, their business, what they organize, they have certain things in a certain way, right? Secret society type of deal, right? We're gonna eat and you guys are gonna starve. Gentrification, put you in a certain neighborhood by yourself and see if you can starve in a proper way. It's not gonna happen, not in St. Louis.
You know, the funny thing about Mr. Smith is some of what he says has some truth to it, but it's not a white versus black thing, and burning up stores in the area will just make people leave the area and not give you jobs. I hear somebody off the corner say, let's burn down the city hall. But I guess in this country, Saudi Arabia reportedly attacked us on 9/11, if you believe the official story. So we attacked Iraq. So a cop shoots an innocent black guy, according to them. Maybe it's true. It's happened before. And so they attack shoe stores and grocery stores and people's houses. If there's a perception that a white person owns it. I mean, it's totally race-based. And then they think everybody else is race-based. Just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Randy in Texas on the St. Louis riot, which, again, is a portend of things to come, in my view. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, Alex. Let me give you a little background information on the St. Louis riot situation and why I think the current violence and why St. Louis in particular may be the spark or the catalyst for civil disobedience, and ultimately maybe martial law. By the way, geography is important here because it's actually North St. Louis. I know you've said South St. Louis a couple of times today, but it is important that it's north of the city.
No, I understand it's north, but they also had some stuff in South St. Louis that got burned up, according to this mainstream news article I have here in the stack. Or some shops got looted last night in another part of the city. I mean, I've got an article that says that. Is that incorrect?
Well, no, actually, there were some threats in the more the center city or west city, which is more the.
No, I understand it's North St. Louis. That's where they had the armored vehicles rolling around a few years ago. Remember that?
That's right. Yeah, the DOD 2 years ago did the military drills about 5 to 7 miles from where all this violence has been taking place in North St. Louis, which is the town of Ferguson. But let me give you a little background. You ever heard of Pruitt-Igoe?
Yes.
Pruitt-Igoe is a large housing project, huge housing project that was built in St. Louis in the 50s. And in about 15 to 16 years, it was completely destroyed, and they had to tear it down. And it was housed entirely by African Americans. And they had to relocate all these people from this housing project. So they're very, very concentrated in these areas. East St. Louis is another area, but this in particular, north and northwest of this housing projects, is where a lot of these black people move to. And so it's really a ticking time bomb, if you will. And it just, when you start putting all these pieces together and starting to connect the dots, you can see that behind all of this, the feds and relocating these people and getting them concentrated and so forth and so on, you can see that, and then running these DOD drills just a few miles from there, you can see that this thing could possibly be the spark to this whole.
Well, you know, it's funny that I just went to your call and then you said that. I'm going to come back to you after this report. I was going to dovetail the drills for martial law 2 years ago in the articles and reports we did with an Army PSYOP that was run previously, and was going to make that connection, and then you just brought it up. So, Randy, stay there. I'm going to come back. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.